Super Bowl 60 is officially in the books, and the Seattle Seahawks are Super Bowl champions, so at least one bird team was able to secure the Lombardi this year. We'll talk about this game, plus who is replacing the great Jeff Stoutland as offensive line coach, and which current Eagle may call it an early career. All that and more, so without wasting any more time, let's dive right into it. What's up, y'all, and welcome to 2nd and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Old City Sports Network, the best network for all your Philadelphia sports needs. This is your host, Michael Roscoe. So, yeah, that Super Bowl was interesting, to say the least. But before the big game, the league had a ceremony in which they presented, I think it was like NFL legends or NFL Super Bowl legends, and they had guys like Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, you know, those guys. And guess who else was introduced as an NFL legend and is the only active player to be introduced as part of this group? None other than our motherfucking quarterback, Jalen Hurts. These NFL legends, especially guys like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, some of the best to ever do it in the game of football, with Brady and Manning being in that same group with Hurts out on that field, have spoken about how phenomenal of an athlete is. And there is still a community of your everyday person who just can't accept the fact that these professionals recognize Jalen Hurts and just have this vendetta of continuously hating online. Well, I'm going to go with the opinions of literal experts in their field over the average Jalen Hurts haters when it comes to this expertise on great quarterback play. But anyway, back to the big game. The Seattle Seahawks defeated the New England Patriots with a score of 29-13. Seattle quarterback Sam Darnold gets his Cinderella ending and can finally call himself a Super Bowl champion. Darnold went 19 for 38 passing for 202 yards, 1 touchdown and 0 turnovers, while running for 5 yards. Running back Kenneth Walker would earn the title of Super Bowl MVP, carrying the ball for 27 times for 135 yards, and almost having like a massive 70 yard touchdown, something like that was unfortunately called back due to a penalty. Wide receiver Cooper Kupp would lead the receiving group with 6 catches for 61 yards, but it was tight end AJ Barner who would score the lone offensive touchdown for the Seahawks, and I predicted that shit would happen, y'all, and look, it happened. Their other touchdown came on defense as linebacker Uchenna Nwosu intercepted a Drake May pass attempt thwarted by a big hit from cornerback Devin Witherspoon. Additionally, we saw a Super Bowl record occur as kicker Jason Myers made 5 straight field goals, the most in a Super Bowl in history. On the Patriots side of the ball, we had significantly less stellar stats. Quarterback Drake May went 27 for 43 passing for 295 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 3 total turnovers, which were 2 interceptions and 1 lost fumble. He would also have 5 carries for 37 yards and actually led his team in rushing yards. In the receiving game, the Patriots' 2 touchdowns would come from wide receiver Mac Hollins and running back Ramondre Stevenson. However, these were in garbage time with no chance of the Patriots making any kind of epic comeback. A lot of people have their takeaways from this match, so let's look at what we took away from it. Our first takeaway is that there was definitely one player robbed of MVP. Now, I'm not trying to discredit Kenneth Walker's achievements. He's been great all year. He's really had to step up when his tandem partner, Zach Charbonnet, went out for injury. He was great. And I think making him Super Bowl MVP, not a bad idea. But if we're talking about the player that did the most for the Seahawks in this Super Bowl, it was definitely kicker Jason Myers. However, when the voting opened up for Super Bowl MVP, Myers' name did not appear. I guess the league would hate the idea of a kicker being MVP, especially considering that no kicker has ever won a Super Bowl MVP, even if it was really deserved for them to win it. Myers scored 17 of Seattle's 29 points between his 5 field goals, which again is a Super Bowl record, and the 2 extra points. He was flawless, and honestly, he was the only one really doing fucking anything up until the beginning of the 4th quarter. Not only was this a boring ass game, but you don't even include the player responsible for the most points for the winning team in MVP voting? He scored more points than the entire New England Patriots put together. That has to count for something, right? But yeah, I definitely think he got robbed of the Super Bowl MVP award. He should have at least have been included in the voting, and that's a damn shame. But Jason Myers, you the real MVP of Super Bowl 60. Our second takeaway from this game, that Patriots run game was absolutely fucking extinct. Listen, I know throughout our season, the Eagles run game had been absent for a lot of it. And, there were games where it was bad, but not as bad as this game. The Patriots run game was completely shut down by that Seattle front four. And on top of that, they got absolutely manhandled on that O-line, allowing, I think it was like 6 sacks or so on Drake May. The Patriots didn't even have 80 yards on the ground, and half of them came from their fucking quarterback. And I saw a TikTok recently where this girl analyzed how many yards Bad Bunny, the halftime performing artist, had during his show, and he had around 124 to 125 yards of distance from the beginning to the end of his show. For the halftime performer to achieve over 40 more yards than one of the teams playing the actual game, that sucks. But at the same time, you gotta give Seattle their flowers. They did a hell of a job disrupting the run game and pretty much everything else for New England. Our last takeaway from this game is that Seattle is and has been that team and will be a problem for the league next season. I don't think anyone, maybe besides Seahawks fans, at the beginning of this year, and for various reasons, thought that they would see their team in the Super Bowl. But looking at their stats, rankings, and how far they have come this season, oh yeah, they are that team. They were top 10 in run, pass, and total defense, top 5 in red zone defense, and number 1 in scoring defense. On the offensive side of the ball, they ranked top 10 in rushing, passing, and total offense, and were in the top 3 of scoring offenses, averaging just over 28 yards per game in the regular season, and averaging 36 points per game in the playoffs. That's just insane. And they were beating teams such as the Los Angeles Rams, which they did twice, the 49ers, which they did twice, the Jags, and Houston, just to name a few. Sure, they had some easier opponents like the Titans or the Saints, but the fact that they were able to beat 2 of their divisional opponents twice, and in moments where it counted the most, is a fantastic achievement. I feel like even if they weren't Super Bowl champs, they would be that team that you're afraid of and have to beat going into next season. They are the team to beat going into next season. And on top of that, they are in the top 5 of most available cap space, and this is before the potential rise in cap spaces across the league. I feel like they can afford to keep a lot of their great free agents such as Rick Woolen, Kenneth Walker, Kobe Bryant, and Rashid Shaheed, just to name a few. Plus, with Seattle very likely retaining most of their defense as well as their defensive coordinator, they are going to be one of our toughest opponents because yes, we will play the Seahawks at home in the 2026 season. When exactly, we're not sure yet. Hopefully, our team's offense gets their shit together before that happens, so we don't get absolutely mollywopped by Seattle. All right, let's shift over to the Birds and talk about some Eagles news. First bit of news that just came out as of Wednesday. Kevin Patullo finds a new home. Former offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo, after being fired after his one and only year as a play caller, has found a new home in Miami, as he was brought on to be the Dolphins' new pass game coordinator. This was Patullo's position with the Birds before getting promoted to OC. And all I gotta say on the subject about this is, Miami, good luck. In other news, we got a potential early retirement. In the midst of all that's been surrounding the Eagles lately, from the A.J. Brown drama, which seems to be trending in a positive direction though, coaching departures, new arrivals, and rumors of a Lane Johnson retirement, an unexpected rumor has been floating around about offensive guard Landon Dickerson, as various sources such as the Philadelphia Inquirer and NFL Network reports, and of course local reports such as W94 WIP, but we won't talk about them. The rumor is that we could see Dickerson retiring from professional football at the age of only 27, but there has been no official statement regarding these rumors. The primary reason for this potential early retirement is that it seems to be related to his extensive injury history, not only through the 2025 season, but through his entire college and NFL careers. In college, he tore his ACL in both knees, had a separate season-ending right ankle injury that required surgery to fix, and then a significant left ankle sprain that caused him to miss most of another season. And that was just in college. In the NFL, he's had 2 separate thumb injuries, a foot injury, a separate foot sprain, multiple injuries in the 2024 to 2025 seasons to his back, ankle, and calf, an injury to his meniscus that required surgery before the 2025 season, and then another right knee injury. This man has been through absolute hell. I'm surprised that his legs are still together, to be honest. If you don't know how bad an ACL tear is, it is one of the worst ligaments in your knee to injure or tear, since it is so important to your overall stability in that leg. One ACL tear can take 6 to 9 months, maybe even longer, to fully heal. And he's had 2 of them. Plus, your meniscus is in that same area, and then he's had multiple unrelated knee injuries as well. He has been through some shit, but I applaud his durability through this all. However, that durability seems to be winding down, as he basically spent the entire season battling injuries, resulting in several missed moments of missed time. This injury history is not meant to discredit his achievements. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler, a Super Bowl champion, and one of the highest paid offensive linemen in the league, getting a 4-year, $84 million contract in 2024. He's an excellent physical player who has been amazing for us. Looking back on this season, I think really they should have placed him on like a long-term IR or something to actually have given his body a chance to heal. But that didn't occur, and here we are today. Do I think he's going to retire? I can't say for sure, but with his injury history, I would not be surprised. The human body can only take but so much, and he still has a long future ahead of him to think about. We'll keep an eye on this story to see if it actually comes to fruition. All right, and our last topic of Eagles news for this episode is the Birds have a new offensive line coach. After the shocking departure of one of the best O-line coaches in the game, Jeff Stoutland, the Birds have found a replacement, and his name is Chris Cooper. Cooper spent the last 4 years on the Minnesota Vikings as their O-line coach. Cooper is a former 5th-round pick who spent his 8-year NFL career with the Denver Broncos as a guard before suffering a gruesome broken ankle in his 6th season that would eventually end his career 2 years later. I'll be honest, I don't know much about this guy, but I know that he was at the end of his contract with Minnesota, and they decided not to renew it. The Vikings O-line, it wasn't great last year, maybe even the year before too, but a lot of that can be attributed not just to Cooper's coaching, but some other significant factors such as numerous injuries to the O-line, the requirements of the O'Connell offensive scheme, and then the QBs who were responsible for executing it. Last year alone, Cooper had to have 25 different combinations or so of offensive linemen because there were so many injuries, which is like in the top of the league when it comes to that level of rotations. As for the scheme, Minnesota's O-line was required to block for above normal amounts of time. And then the QBs they had, you had guys like a regressing Kirk Cousins, Carson Wentz, Max Bromer, and a hurt rookie in JJ McCarthy. Yeah, your O-line's going to struggle a bit when it takes a fucking fortnight for your QB to do something with the ball. But anyway, what's good about this hire is that he has worked, I think, when Mannion was also in Minnesota, with new Eagles offensive coordinator Sean Mannion. So hopefully transitioning onto a new team together can help make planning the offense with players new to them a lot easier because those coaches have that familiarity with each other, and hopefully their collaborative skills are great enough to get us, get something going with this offense. All right, y'all, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow on YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok by searching at 2nd and 15 or by the full name 2nd and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast. You can find the audio for each and every episode releasing Thursday mornings on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Player FM, Pocket Cast, Deezer, or wherever you get your podcasts, with the video uploading to YouTube later that same day. This episode, 2nd and 15, and Old City Sports Network are brought to you by Iron and Steel Threads. Head on over to ironandsteelthreads.com and use our promo code OldCity10 for 10% off the entire website, and a portion of the proceeds go to help youth hockey organizations. Once again, thanks y'all for joining in. This is 2nd and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Old City Sports Network. We will see y'all next week. Don't forget to stay fly like an eagle, and as always, go Birds!